Hello, we hope you're doing well. Welcome back to more CSGO news. I hope you guys all enjoy. As always, all of today's stories will be timestamped down below. Welcome back, though. Thank you all for the great comments. We've had some crazy news over this past weekend. As per usual, we're going to cover it today. The first of which, if you guys are excited, I certainly am to see ScreaM potentially return to the pro scene. Now, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed about this. We've seen ScreaM on and off from these mixed teams over the past 6 months, ever since his last stint just over 6 months ago with Envious. Before that, guys, a long laundry list of French teams he has played for, but apparently will be ScreaM partnering up with Ex6TenZ to make a mixed team. Now, that's from Decay. I'll link both these articles down below if you guys want to read the details. Thanks to both these sources, Decay and Nell. But it actually is Nell saying, apparently, of many options out there, they will be finishing the roster off with Europeans. So it will be ScreaM, Ex6TenZ, and 3 other European players to actually finish off this 5-man roster. And of the potential prospects, guys, it will not be, yeah, I did say not Devo Duvet, currently still on LDLC in that kind of partially broken roster. Also not Amanek. According to Nell, guys, very importantly here, Amanek, of course, stepping away from LDLC just last week, will apparently remain on pause, on break from CSGO to wait out an offer from G2 or Vitality. Now, this does make a bit of sense, especially you look at the history of these two teams, especially in the French scene over the past year or so. We have seen so many rosters break apart, have new additions after short spans of time, and it's very likely after our next major at Katowice, either G2 or Vitality will make changes. So I have to give credit to Amanek. If this is true, what Nell does say, Amanek's going to wait out a project, and probably a bigger French project than what Ex6TenZ and ScreaM can probably make. But it does, of course, beg the question, guys, who can join these two players, and will it be more than a mixed team? It's also been pretty much confirmed because ScreaM did leave his team no chance, and 16-year-old Frozen's actually joined that roster, as well as a couple days ago, guys, Kiyoshima did reply to ScreaM's tweet saying, hey, you'll be playing again soon. But as of right now, from what I can tell, unless they pull in some pretty good European talent, it's going to be still a mixed team unless they, of course, randomly do get signed. Again, this team would have to re-qualify for all the leagues if they do even manage to get that far. I know I sound very pessimistic, like I usually am around this sort of thing, but for a team like this to rise out of the French scene and, of course, overtake the past French teams that have actually reigned supreme, that being LDLC, G2, and now Vitality, it's a far-fetched chance. Let me put it out, there's a far-fetched chance. I am super excited to see who these guys pull in, but apparently it will be ScreaM alongside Ex6TenZ guys to start their own team. And also in big CSGO news out there, actually in the female scene, I can already see the comments being typed out right now whenever I share this kind of stuff, as well as when the story broke on the forums out there. People instantly started talking about how female CSGO players can't hang with male CSGO players. I'm here to kind of ride the fine line between that, maybe meet you in the middle a little bit. That's actually, and big news, guys, in the female scene, Vilga actually leaving Team Besiktas. I know I cannot pronounce a Turkish name, guys. This Turkish organization actually signed that former Team Rez lineup, you know, Zaz and Giuliano, all those girls, formerly one of the best female teams in the world. They signed them 5 months ago, and well, I can actually name the number of matches they've had on one hand. It is absolutely astonishing. We actually had former CLG Red member Miss Harvey. She came out a while ago. I think it was just last week, actually, and she talked about how few female CSGO tournaments there currently are. It's about 3 big events a year for these females. I still am so surprised that many of them can actually hang on to these dreams and hopes financially with so few tournaments, but it does make sense as Vilga has actually stepped away from that roster on Team Besiktas to actually pursue some sort of future goal. But her wording, though, guys, apparently she wants to achieve results that no other female has. P.S. She wants to win a major. So that, of course, sparked a lot of controversy. Instantly replies saying, you can't compete with males, there's no chance, and the debate obviously continued. And her leave of absence also does make sense, not only because maybe they weren't participating in enough events that she wanted to play at. On top of that, they're not even the best female team any longer. Definitely dethroned quite some time ago. The NaToS has had their female major victories alongside a team, former Team Singularity female is actually known as Team Unknown. They have Candy and Petra, 2 of the better females on the planet right now as well. It's performing very well. I would say arguably just as well as Vilga is for that being formerly of Team Besiktas. So I do want to talk about this very briefly, though. Can actually a female player become the first to intertwine themselves with a male CSGO team actually at the top level? Now, when comparing things like Faceit Elo, I do understand this, guys. Faceit Elo is probably a very, very one-sided picture of who a pro player can be. To compare that, guys, we actually have Vilga having just short of 3100 Elo on Faceit, which is by far and away above the average CSGO player and actually up there with many pro players. You know, comparable enough. We talked about ScreaM earlier, guys. They have near identical Faceit Elos. But also to give you the credit for the other side of the argument, guys, that Elo cannot be the only factor to determine how good a player can be at CSGO. We have Psycho from Wendigo Academy, has one of the highest highest face elos of all time. I believe actually top 3 currently at over 7,300 elo. So to give you, and he's on Wendigo Academy. So I understand that this is a one-sided picture, guys, of exactly who she could be, but she can compete in terms of individual aim. How she can compete though with an actual male roster is an entirely different question. I do though think in the future, maybe 2019, obviously that's a pretty presumptuous guess and assuming that a male team will take a risk on a female player, but I would love to see sometime in the near future. Why not 2019? Why not 2020? Take a risk on a female player like a Vilga, like a Candy, like a Petra, female players who can definitely compete on some level, and they can of course be rounded out to at least somehow compete with these male players, and if they blend into the roster well enough, actually assume them as a part of that roster and be one of the first at a certain level to actually acquire a female member. It would be groundbreaking, it would be tough to see, but it would also of course prove a lot of haters wrong out there that females cannot compete, and they certainly can. So anyway, wrapping up that story, I'm excited to see where Vilga goes. She's obviously trying to achieve what other females cannot, because you do see a lot of females being a bit weary to seemingly try, or maybe it could be vice versa, organizations not giving them the opportunities they need to actually succeed in the male scene. Either way, I'm hopeful for the future of this. I've said it once, I'll say it again, guys. The future of female CSGO certainly helps the scene, and we have seen time and time again the backlash these ladies face, not only on every social media platform, but as well as on all the forums out there. They do have a chance. They certainly can compete, given the right mental mind state as well as surroundings. I think a few pro players out there in the female scene could certainly have a chance at rising with a male team out there, and if she wants to win a major, yes, those are serious aspirations, but I'd love to see what she can do out there. But also on top of that, guys, we have a brand new tournament format, which I hope never really takes off. It's actually WePlay, a website out there hosting a $50,000 CSGO tournament coming up here very shortly, guys. They will have invited teams. 2 of the announced invited teams so far have been Hellraisers alongside Big Clan. There's going to be 2 other invited teams, guys, and those 4 total invited teams actually qualify automatically for the playoffs. Now, this will be an online tournament. That's probably why the prize pool is a bit lower than usual, but it will be those 4 invited teams automatically going to the quarterfinals to compete against the top 2 teams of the 2 groups, Group A and B, which is a very weird format. I wish the teams the best of luck. It will be a lot of lower tier teams as well besides the invited teams, so it makes sense if you want a bigger viewership for the playoffs and you don't want to have a big team kind of get screwed over and actually lose somehow to the lower tier teams in group play. You just push them past group play into the playoffs. I hope no big organizers ever take this format in, though. I am a firm believer that if a team is invited to a tournament, that's great. They have a place in that tournament. They don't have to qualify for it. But once you're in a tournament, you should have to play group play. And also, very lastly in CSGO news, guys, NaToSaphiX tweeted out this, saying Christmas did come early. I'm confused by this one. Ooh. If there's any other teams out there that make changes before the major, I'm gonna have to make a video just on all the teams who are not gonna have their complete rosters or have new rosters for the major. Maybe that's actually a good video, because NaToSaphiX, as you guys know, formerly of Sprout, he's actually been released or stepped away from that product just pretty recently as well. Definitely a solid player, and I thought for sure going to be signed in North America. I did not expect North to be in the picture if that's actually what he's trying to hint at. Many players out there, of course, trolling. I thought I'd mention it to you guys anyway, because of all the players out there on North that people have seen as the keen replacement, it would be Cadian, an Opper, NaToSaphiX, an Opper, also a former IGL, and Cadian is their current IGL, of course, taking place of MSL on that roster. So will NaToSaphiX go to Daneland and join North? Well, again, just like many other things we do share, that's a big question mark until it's confirmed. But as always, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's episode. I know a bit of a slow episode. Hopefully be back here tomorrow, though, with a lot more news to share with all of you guys. As always, thank you all for leaving comments down below. Also, leaving a like on the video. It helps me mentally. But as always, my name is Jake. I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy yourselves, and see you soon.